Hi everyone and welcome back to Chess for Charity. In this video, I'm going to walk you through a really cool puzzle where it's white to play and win. So you might think this is a really straightforward puzzle, but there's one variation in particular that is quite challenging. So take a second, see if you can find the win and also maybe that variation that's challenging. While you're thinking about that, let me ask you to subscribe if you have not yet already. Half of the income I earn in this channel goes directly to charity, so every like, every subscriber helps us out so much. Okay, let's get started here. So white is going up the board, right? Ideally, they win this game because they have an advantage. They are up one pawn. So what would you do in this position? I think the first move is kind of obvious. You play b4, right? Your goal is to try to mobilize these pawns and slowly push them up the board, right? Something like this maybe. Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's say they play king takes h3. Okay, what do? I'll give you two options. You play b5 or you play king f1. So if you play b5, that's a terrible idea. Why is that? Well, you simply lose the race. They can play king g2. This guy's going to run, and you can't do anything about it. You play a6, they just ignore it, h3, and whether you take here or you push, you're not going to be able to check them on this diagonal. So just to show that, if you play a7, they push, and great, you got a queen, but their pawn is actually blocking this diagonal, which means they promote with check and mate. And the same idea goes the other way around. If instead of pushing, you take, you're just off the diagonal, right? You're just, if only you could be here, but you're not, so it's mate. Just to show the idea. So you don't play b5, right? The whole reason you don't play b5 is because you don't want the king to come into g2. So with that being said, it's very logical. Play king f1. Great move. Block this king off. Now from here, it might seem really simple to win, right? If you're playing a person, it tends to be they'll make the human move of one of these two, and they'll try to push this pawn, but these are just faster, right? You do this, maybe something like this. What do? Don't push this pawn. They're threatening to push and then promote. So get in front of the pawn, make sure you're able to cover this square, and you're completely fine. So what is this variation I'm talking about that's challenging? So I notice this when I'm playing against a computer because they are more resourceful, I find, than people. So after king f1, and they play king h2. Instead of playing king to g3 or g4. This is the variation I'm talking about. King h2. So what do you do to win this? It seems like the plan is still pretty obvious, right? You push these pawns. Okay, so b5. What are they trying to do? See if you understand what they're going for. They play h3. Okay, they're kind of putting themselves into a corner here. Sure, I just play a6. What's the problem? Right? If they take me, I'm good. Well, now they play king h1. Now you're left with a decision here. You can take this or you can push. I'll let you think about it for a second. What do you think is good? What do you think is bad? So if you take this pawn on b7, this will lead to a draw. Let me put a blunder on that. Now why? Because they play pawn h2 and they are stalemated. And no matter what you do, they don't have a move. You can promote to anything you want here, and they have no moves. So you have to be a little careful. This whole plan, now it might make sense if you didn't get it before, this whole plan of moving their king and then their pawn and their king and their pawn is to stalemate themselves. Okay, so let's keep looking at it. So b5, h3, a6, king h1. I told you that if you take here, it's a loss, a stalemate. You've blundered that. So you play a7. Great. Now they play h2. So what do you do here? Well, if you promote, this is stalemate because you just pinned this pawn. This pawn was their only move, but now they can't move it forward because of this pin. And the same idea goes to if you promoted to a bishop, right? They can't move that pawn, so it's stalemate. Okay, so what if you, after this move, what if you promote to like a knight or something? Does that change anything? Well, no, because they play b6, and if you take it, it's stalemate. So what do you do? How do you win this? This is what this variation is showing. It's super cool variation. Well, we talked about promoting to a queen, we talked about promoting to a bishop, and we talked about promoting to a knight. So knight here, bishop here. Rook is the only thing we didn't talk about. That's the way to win. You promote to a rook. Now why? After they make this move, there's only one move that makes sense here. Hopefully you can find it given everything I just shared. The move is rook to a5. Bang. Now why are you doing this? Well, you're sacrificing your rook because you need them to have moves. So they're forced to take. This is their only legal move. And now you can push your pawns up the board, or pawn up the board, and they can push theirs, but yours is going to live faster. b6, a4, b7, a3. Now what do? How do you promote? Do you promote to a rook again? Do you promote to a queen, a bishop, a knight? What do you think? So a queen. Now why a queen? Because that's the only one that wins. You need to get on this diagonal, and no other piece will get you on this diagonal from b8 and also deliver check. So now I'll play a8. I think it looks kind of nicer. That is checkmate. Of course, you're not really attacking the pawn, but just to show the aesthetic of the corner. So that whole puzzle, I showed you the variation that is kind of challenging, but they're trying to stalemate themselves. And as a human, I think you don't go for that variation. I think most people just resign, or they put their king up and try to push this pawn and hope. But this is a really resourceful defense, because now this variation, how many people play promote to a queen automatically and not even realize that this pin would be a stalemate? Super tricky. I love that even promoting to a knight doesn't work because they can push. The only way to do it, promote to a rook. I love it. It's so cool. I love these underpromotion puzzles. And now this pawn has the freedom to move. All you need is one move, and it's not stalemate. And after that, such a cool sequence. Just give up your rook, take my rook, and then it's just a race, and white wins. Super cool. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Was it really hard for you to solve? Was it easy for you to solve? I feel like some people would say the first few moves are obvious. You can maybe be the judge of that. I think b4 is rather obvious. Let me know in the comments. What do you think? Should I have started the puzzle later on? I got this on chess.com, just playing around. So yeah, let me know. 1 to 10. Is it really easy? Is it really hard? All that stuff is a lot of fun. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like, subscribe, all that great stuff. And until next time, bye.